Hi everyone, so I'm sat here next to my clown killifish tank in my upcycled rocking chair that we salvaged from getting thrown out. It's normally turned the other way where my camera is, and I just sit here happily rocking and watching the fish, which luckily for you, you get to do instead. Well, not the rocking part, but anyway. So yeah, I just thought I'd do a quick update on this tank, some of the problems I've faced, and first of all, I'm going to take the covers off. So I just have these 3 sheets of plastic, which I always pop over the tank when I'm not working on it. The clown killifish are known jumpers. I might have covered this in the build video, but they do like to hop out of tanks. And with an open top tank, I'm always nervous, especially. So when I'm not working on the tank, I just have 3 sheets of clear perspex just to make sure that the fish don't jump out. Other bonus is that it reduces the evaporation a little bit and stops my house being quite so damp and humid. So yeah, there are perks. So yeah, as you can see, the fish are doing really well. This is one of the dominant males at the top here, and he's absolutely beautiful. I'll show some of the pictures I've taken in here as well. There's actually 2 males down the bottom in amongst the leaf litter. That seems to be sort of having a bit of a standoff at the moment. Their fins are spread right out and are trying to get their territory for some spawning. So yeah, overall, really happy with the fish. I've always wanted to keep this species and they lived up to expectations. They're absolutely gorgeous and I'm so glad I took the plunge and did this biotope inspired aquarium. But it hasn't all been plain sailing. So, as you can see from here, there aren't that many lily leaves. This tank was meant to be full, bursting with lilies, the dominant plant in that whole environment. And just to take over the tank, have the surface covered, have the mid-water covered, just full of leaves. And they've never quite filled out as much as they should have done. Now, I'm not a plant person. I'm not the best person to come to ask for advice on plants. I don't really know what I'm doing with some of them. And the symptoms I was seeing were just, they'd keep growing new leaves, but some of the older ones would just melt away and disintegrate in the space of sort of a day or two. They'd start losing their colour and start going see-through, and they'd just fall off and disintegrate. And now every time I thought, oh, the tank's finally getting there, it's finally looking how I wanted it to look, it's starting to shoot these lilies up to the surface to start covering the surface, and then I lose 4 or 5 leaves from lower down, and I just kept getting frustrated with it. And I was very close to tearing this tank down and giving up on this project back in May, probably, which would have been a few months after I set it up. The idea was that I'd be doing this sort of every 2-3 months, new skate, new layout, but every time I went to get rid of it, I'd start to see some progress and keep it going a little bit longer. And now is enough is enough. As you can see, it's never hit quite how I wanted it to look. The fish have done really well, although I occasionally see some spawning behaviours, but never any fry. The fish seem really happy and healthy, but the plants just never did what I wanted them to. I've also had some battles with algae in this tank. So when I first set it up, it did get some blue-green cyanobacteria algae from some of the tanks downstairs that I've got. They They still have some, but I've managed to eliminate it from this tank. But at one point they were covering all the surfaces, all the botanicals. The lily leaves generally tried to fight it off, but I still had the odd bit on them as well. So I did manage to get rid of that. That was probably springtime. And now I've got staghorn algae everywhere. And that was the final nail in the coffin. The plants aren't doing so well, and then they got attracted to staghorn algae, I think, and it's all just sort of added into one big mess of a tank, really. So yeah, there are some shrimp in here as well. I wasn't going to add any shrimp or peanut krill. Again, they're not biotope correct. It was meant to just be one species of fish, one species of plant, and no shrimp at all. But I did add some little shrimp in here to try and stop the algae. After I defeated the cyanobacteria, I thought, right, I'm not going to let anything else take hold, so I'll have some shrimp in there to just graze over the surfaces and over the botanicals and keep them looking good and clean. And yeah, it didn't really work. So I'm not sure there's really much else to say. I love the fish, I love the plants when they're looking good, but the idea, it never really hit the spot. It never really met my expectations, and it's time to try something different and something new, because that's what this tank was meant to be here for. It was to get me to keep some fish that I always wanted to look after in a natural environment and see how they thrive and how different they look in those circumstances. So yeah, that's what this was meant to be, and that's what I'm going to do next. Another species, another plant, another fish, and we'll go from there. These fish will be staying with me, so they'll be going into the plant farm tank, which maybe I'll add in a little update video on that one at the end. We'll see. But yeah, the fish will be staying with me. I've got an even number of males and females, and that's a much more densely planted tank, so I might actually have a bit of a better chance of seeing some fry or some eggs emerging from them without them being eaten. Again, that tank does have some shrimps and snails in, so I do believe they can sometimes eat the killifish eggs, so we'll see if any get past them. Yeah, the plan will be to dismantle this tank. It's actually going to get moved from over here, so we're going to be putting a desk in this corner of the room between the two windows, and move this one over to the other side of the room, further away from the windows. Hopefully a slightly more shaded space, so all the lighting will be provided by this and not supplemented by natural lighting. Again, it was peak summer, longest days, bright lights. We don't always use this room, so the blinds don't always get shut, and therefore they got a lot more light than the 8 hours that I would normally give a tank. So all these factors could have played into the reason why the algae's taken hold and the tank's not quite succeeded. So yeah, it's going to be moved over, drained, moved over, and then set up again for a new biotope. So look out for a video on that. I'm gonna get it done as soon as I can. As soon as I got a bit of a free time. It's going to be a long project. I'm going to want to try and do it in a day to keep the filter media alive and stuff, but I might have to do it over a few days and move the tank. Well, move the tank and put the filter on a different tank short term, just to keep the bacteria ticking over. But I didn't really want to introduce any of the staghorn algae, which might have broken up and be in the filter into any of my other tanks. So it's a bit of a risk, and I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet. But I'll add all of that in when I do the rescape video. So the video will be sort of taking this tank down, moving the fish, and then setting up the new layout and talking about what I'm going to be stocking it with. So no spoilers here. I haven't quite decided yet. I've got two options, and I think I'm swaying towards one, but we'll see which one it is. They'll both get done. It's just which one will be kept first. So yeah, before I finish, obviously gonna have to feed the fish while I'm here.